Mentor lawyer. So Mr. Ken Danieli was making good fun of me, rightfully so, because the first evidence that I mentioned when I was doing this last live video chat about why the heck haven't the Adelsons been charged yet, you can convict somebody of conspiracy to commit murder with only circumstantial evidence. So I accepted Ken Danieli's challenge, and I decided to, over lunch, just think through, without looking at the evidence, without looking at my prior videos, just look at the list of coincidences, right, that also could be looked at pointing to Wendi Adelson's direct involvement in this case. And I'm just using Wendi. There's a lot for Charlie, of course. So now I'm going to make an assumption. We already know that the shooter was convicted. We know that the driver pled guilty. And we know that the state at least thinks that it has enough evidence to charge the middle woman, Katie Magbanua. So we have Katie Magbanua still pending a second trial, a retrial. And we have Luis Rivera and Cifredo Garcia already convicted. So now, with that assumption that all three of those people were involved, let's take a look at the coincidences that point at involvement of Wendi Adelson. And I'm sure I missed out a lot. This was just my thinking over the lunch while I was feeding my son. Let's see. Number one, the deposition of Wendi Adelson, in which she was going to be asked about the alleged fraud in the court that she committed by hiding assets during the divorce proceedings, was canceled at the last minute in May of 2014 when her lawyer had to withdraw due to a conflict of interest. Everything then got postponed in the divorce, which basically led the hearing that was going to happen on this whole thing get postponed, including the issue about whether Donna could see the children unsupervised. And obviously the most important was the hearing about, the evidentiary hearing about whether or not Wendi Adelson committed fraud on the court. That got postponed, and then boom, all of a sudden the guy gets murdered, and that's no longer an issue. Alright, so that's number one in a sense. There's multiple coincidences there, but we'll just call that number one. And two. So one is that the attorney withdraws. Number two, everything gets postponed. This is in May. Number three, the first attempt already happens in early June. But it fails because there wasn't enough information about the whereabouts, and there was an issue with the rental car. Okay, so nothing there pointing at Wendi really by itself, but it's part of the big picture, and you'll see why it makes sense, right? It's a few weeks after Wendi's deposition gets canceled. They're already making the first attempt. Then the second, then in the middle, in between the first attempt in early June and the second attempt in middle of July, Wendi meets in person with Katie Magbanua. They even get to go hang out on the beach together. Number three, or number four, that was number four, I guess. So number five, from the first day of July until the 18th when Dan.Markel was shot, although they don't meet very often, Wendi admittedly was avoiding him, was not meeting with him, had two opportunities to meet him in person and avoided both of those opportunities. That could be a simple coincidence, but of course it could also mean that she knew what was going to happen and did not want to look him in the eye. Number six, she sort of breaks off with Professor Lacaze 1 week before the murder. Actually, you have to go back a little more. You have to go back to the first attempt. During the couple of days of the first attempt, Wendi has a very weird day with Professor Lacaze. She's feeling ill, completely ill, which is on the day of the supposed shooting that was going to happen. Maybe she's having second thoughts. And she sends him on a long errand to go get medicine. Resuming, let's see where I've left off. So, sort of breaks off with Professor Lacaze 1 week before the murder. agrees with him or asks him not to contact her for the whole week, because of course she needs to concentrate on what she's about to do. Mentions during the fight, during this breakup, mentions that her brother Charlie had looked into hiring a hitman to kill Markel in the summer before. Then a couple of days before the murder, she has, for the first time in their life, a serious conversation with her kids about death and about their thoughts on death, dead bugs, dead people. This is a couple of days before the murder. Then, on the morning of the murder, of course, her TV is being repaired. Exactly the same TV that was bought by Charlie, apparently with some kind of insurance, because the whole setup for the meeting, for that appointment for that morning, had to be done with a phone number from South Florida. A TV repairman comes over to take a look at the TV. This is the same TV that is the source of the joke about the fact that Charlie was gonna hire a hitman, but instead bought the TV because it was cheaper. And so she's getting that TV fixed that same morning, because it was broken supposedly a few days before, and she actually, I think, had Lacasse watch a movie on it just to make sure that he would notice that it was broken. I think I saw that somewhere. So then, of course, the murder happens while the murderers are driving a vehicle that is similar to Professor Lacasse's, and exactly at about the time when Professor Lacasse was supposed to be leaving town on a long trip out of town. Another little coincidence, and of course, who else would know in the Adelson side but Wendi. The shooter, by the way, is similar height to Professor Lacasse, maybe a couple of inches difference. And the shooter decided to specifically wear a white t-shirt, a very visible t-shirt. Why? You may ask why. Well, guess what? Per my sources, that's Professor Lacasse's favorite color of t-shirts. Yes, it's true. He likes the white t-shirt. And hey, you know, if you got a good, well-toned body, a white t-shirt looks good, right? So he likes it, Professor Lacasse likes it, and so the killer is wearing a white t-shirt, and it's about the same height, and he's also driving a sedan, similar to Lacasse's sedan, at least similar in color. And the shooting happens just when Lacasse is supposed to be leaving town. All coincidences, of course. The killers, of course, know Markel's plan for the morning of the murder. Why? Because that particular day, even though for 18 days when they hadn't seen Markel, she had plans with him to meet with him later that morning to discuss the school for one of the boys. That's why they were texting to each other, letting each other know when would be the best time to meet. So she had a perfect excuse now to know his entire morning plans. Another little coincidence. That's what, number 11, 12? Or like a 13 maybe right now? 12 I have here. She has plans to meet him that day. That's number 12. I mean, I'm just, you know, some of these are compound, have several coincidences within one number. But number 12 plans to meet him that day. After 18 days of not seeing him at all, she plans to meet him later that morning, and therefore has a reason to keep him. He has a reason to basically keep her updated about his whereabouts that morning. Blah blah blah. And they exchange communications that morning. So also it helps her make sure that everything is on plan. She has conversations with Charlie that morning. Now, I do not know enough about Wendi. I do not know if they talk every single morning, but it sounds like from the interrogation that it's not a very common occurrence, and that she needed an excuse to do it And of course she did it because this is Charlie's gift, and so therefore she had to consult with Charlie about whether to get rid of it and exchange it or repair it. And then of course right after the murder, she happens to go out of her way, and because of course right after he gets 2 bullets in the face, she has to go out of her way, because she had a lunch date with her friends, right? Out of her way south towards the ABC liquor store near her house. She has to drive by her house, by the scene of the murder, to buy bullet. Okay, fine, it's not bullet, it's bouillette, the Bourbon bouillette, but come on. And while wearing an owl t-shirt. Owl t-shirt by itself is nothing, right? But an owl is an omen of death, and she had reason to look into that. Perhaps if all of them were communicating, and so if Katie the day before had told Rivera to tell Garcia to pull down the owl from Instagram that he posted, because he took a picture of an owl, and then that information gets to Wendi. She says, an owl, an omen of death. Since I know a lot about interesting facts because I was in a show about that, gotta wear a t-shirt that has an owl, an omen of death, and a cute one at that. Nice green color from Banana Republic. Okay, what else? Number 13 I have here, calls Charlie that morning. I have that already discussed. 14, happens to drive by the scene, discussed already. 15, wearing an owl t-shirt, already discussed. And mentioned that the day before there was the issue with the owl with Garcia and Rivera on Instagram. 16, the fact that she bought the bouillette and had to go out of her way to do so, go drive by the scene. 17, she has to have lunch, of course, on the day of the murder with not one but 2 psychiatrists. 2 friends of her who are psychiatrists who could tell, oh my gosh, she was acting totally normal. She's not acting like she just shot some man. Very convenient. Where was that? That was 17. So 18, the fact that apparently she had no plans for a babysitter that night, even though she was going to go to a party, because she made no calls during the interrogation to cancel any babysitter. Of course, again, I do not know all the facts. It's very possible that these were friends that welcome kids at their parties, where you bring bouillette bourbon, but who knows? That should have been explored further, that's for sure. Of course, she was supposed to get the kids that very same evening, so the easy transition for the kids, right? So if the murder is going to happen, why not on a day when she's supposed to get them back? So at least, the kids don't miss out on their dad right away. They know they're supposed to be with the mom for weeks. And of course, the murder also happened just before Dan.Markel was about to leave town, something that of course these killers wouldn't know unless somebody with inside information would know that, right? And Wendi knew that, knew all about it. She was talking about it in the interrogation. Then 20, she takes off and never returns again. 21, during the interrogation, she's acting like a clown, even though she's a professional, even though she works with victims of horrific crimes, yet she's acting like a total clown, but is trying to dig in for information about Markel's condition. 22, coincidence or not, but I mean, she benefits greatly from the murder, including the fact that 23, the cost of the murder was about the same amount of money that she was owed from Dan.Markel per the divorce agreement that he was trying not to pay on allegations of fraud, and which in fact later she tried to collect from Markel's parents. Indeed, later she received a reduced amount. She negotiated down the amount that she was going to get back from the estate But at least initially she was claiming that she was owed exactly about the same amount as it cost to hire these killers. Number 23. Wow. The middle woman is her brother's girlfriend, Katie. Number 24. The shooter is her brother's girlfriend's ex, the baby daddy of her 2 kids. 25. I already mentioned that as something else, so we'll skip 25. We'll go to the next one as 25. So 25, she had to talk with her friend a couple of nights before. She had to talk with her friend, the one who was at the interrogation. At least the main one who was at the interrogation. McPherson is, I think, her name. She had to talk with her just a few days before. Now McPherson is the person who introduces her to Lacasse and they start dating, right? So she has a talk. So she breaks up with I guess takes a break from Lacasse a week before, and then she manages to go for a walk with this lady and tells her, oh my gosh, he's the jealous type. In a sense, putting her head that this guy may not be as normal as she thought when she introduced him. And then of course, the friend then tells the cops, hey, who could have done this? Maybe Lacasse. He was acting crazy lately. Maybe he did it. What a coincidence. 27, I already mentioned it. The fact that the money spent on the murder is about the same as she was trying to collect from the state. And that's about it. So I have about 27. Like I said, many of them are compound. This is just thinking through it over lunch as I'm feeding my disabled son. And so I didn't study the evidence again carefully. I'm just thinking back to the very many videos I've done over the last few months about the case and about all the potential coincidences that instead of being coincidence seem to actually be evidence that points towards Wendi Adelson's involvement in this murder. And I can come up with over 25 easily. Like I said, some of them maybe need a little more investigation, but how many do you have to see that very directly point to the murder where you start to think, okay, well, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 could be coincidences, but how many coincidences are you going to be willing to accept? And how many coincidences, this is more important, is the jury going to be willing to accept as just coincidence? I think that there's so much in there that any reasonable juror will start to reject that each one of those has a reasonable explanation, because it's a question of fact for the jury to determine. And if all of the picture together, all of it together, points to her being involved, even if it isn't direct evidence, even if it isn't her confession or anything like that, and on top of that, just throw her behavior at the interrogation, that would be played to the jury. Just looks so fake. Come on. So I think it's an easy conviction. I think it's an easy charge at least, and a very good chance of a conviction, and it hasn't been done. 6 years, they're walking around scot-free. That doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem like the system is working, right? That's just my opinion. Of course, others have their opinions. Prosecutors have their opinions, and they're the ones in charge. They'll decide when it's time to charge. But my opinion is that they should have been charged already, and that they definitely have to charge at least one of them before this retrial of Magbanua. Because otherwise, it's going to be the same situation where you're going to go to jurors who are going to understand that these poor people who were involved were charged, and that the main people who are involved have some money, and they're walking free for 6 years, not even charged. Not fair. And so maybe 1 or 2 of them will say, I'm not going to vote guilty for this. I'm not going to stand for this sickness. Let them charge the main people. Thanks for watching. Mentor Lawyer.